Script podcast here at Fox 4. I'm Shari Armstrong.
And I am Trent Eric. I'm not Amy.
Mm-mm.
You've had a string of guests coming this week.
I know. Although I should say, like, I miss Amy. She's my girl. But,
Yeah.
like, I love having all you guys on here. You're honestly, like, part of the team. It's just they don't see you every day. You're, like, part of the podcast team unofficially.
Thank you. Am I like the mascot, the goofy looking hairy mascot?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
I embrace the role.
We've had a busy morning this morning.
Very busy.
Sorry, I
morning.
didn't mean to kick you.
Sure you did.
We've been celebrating all morning. We just gonna go ahead and say it. The Panthers killed it.
They did.
Okay.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. And it's just so awesome to see. Okay, 2 years in a row, we're talking about the Florida Panthers. They beat the Edmonton Oilers to become Stanley Cup champs again, 2 times in a
Look at
row.
that. How do you think that feels to lift
That's
that
what
trophy?
oh man, that's what I was asking Alex. What was it like to even witness that moment, let alone be a part of it?
Yeah.
And remember, people really talking about the Panthers just a couple years ago?
As when Paul Maurice came on board,
Yeah.
to kind of change the culture of the Panthers.
Yeah.
And boy, did he ever.
Oh my gosh, what a transform! And well, how long ago would you say that was?
4, I think it was 4.
It's recent.
Yeah,
It's very
it-
recent.
It's fairly recent, and we got to meet the coach when
Yeah.
we went over and did our preview of the season when Fox 4 became partners. He has family over in Naples.
That's right.
So it was kind of weird. Like he knew who we were. I was like, does Paul Maurice really know? I was like, yeah, felt big time. He was such a nice guy, though.
That's right.
And from what you hear, the culture of the locker room, he came in and he was just honest. And
Mm.
his big thing is, if you're honest, even though you don't want to hear it, you get respect.
Love that.
And they just turned that locker
Love
3
that.
times now. They've been to the finals. And after that first trip when they lost, you wondered, could they make it back? 2 more times now.
Back to back.
It's crazy. And you got to think they win another one to get back to the finals. It's a little dynastic run, if you will.
Absolutely. And I feel like it was the early 2000s. I feel like you know more about this than I do, Trent, but wasn't it we were talking about the Lightning, early
Yeah.
2000s. And now I really liked how Alex was talking to one of the players in his story today. And he was like, is this the beginning of a legacy? Like, are we starting
Sure.
to see something like that? And it really feels like that. And it's just so cool to see Florida teams dominate in this way.
It's become such a deal with Florida now kind of dominating hockey, and also your teams in Texas where there's no state income tax, that the NHL in the offseason, they're going to take a look at changing some of the rules and the way that free agents can move because of the tax situation with all the teams in Canada and how much more you get taxed on your salary.
Mm.
So it's making the states, and obviously the states like Texas and Florida where you don't have the state income tax, even more attractive to players to come down. So it's almost like giving it a competitive advantage,
Look
if
at
you
that.
will.
Look
So,
at that.
but I'll tell you this much: playing at Edmonton, when in a town that the barn, that's what they call where they play hockey.
Okay.
When those fans are so passionate,
Man.
like you could almost take the tax away and still want to go play in an atmosphere like that. That place was insane.
Man, I loved it. We talked about this yesterday. And hello to all of our friends watching on Facebook and YouTube. Our producers, Neha and Ali, I always like to say, are in here with us. And they just reminded us that we are live on both. So happy Wednesday to you guys. I remember yesterday the team was saying they want that home court advantage, for lack of what do you say?
Ice.
Home
Ice.
home ice advantage. With the crowd just going crazy, they wanted to thrive off of that energy.
Sure. It was amazing when we went to the game earlier this year to start to preview Fox 4's relationship with the Panthers. The sound of hockey, you just forget what the sticks and when the puck hits the railing, just how loud it is. It's almost like a symphony.
Ooh, I love that,
You
Trent.
hear the rhythm and you
Mhm.
hear the back and forth, and then as soon as they score a goal, the place just goes
Crazy.
bananas.
Crazy.
And that was a regular season game we were at. I can't
Right.
imagine
Right.
what Amber Arena was like last night.
Right. I know. I kept saying I was jealous of Alex, and I really meant that. Congratulations to the Panthers. We are, as Trent mentioned, a broadcast partner for the Florida Panthers. So our excitement is like heightened, not just because
Sure.
we're Floridians and they're one of our teams, but also just because we're proud to be partners with them. And shout out to Alex for his great coverage this morning.
Yeah, I have a feeling if we would have redone where Alex's live shot, we might have moved him to
Oh,
the elbow room.
yes.
For those of you who don't know, the elbow room is there on Fort Myers Beach. And
No, Fort Lauderdale
or
Beach.
I said that on air the day too. I say it so often.
It's okay.
Fort Myers Beach. Fort Myers Beach. Yes, Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Yeah,
And it's where the team took the Stanley Cup last year.
that's right.
Well, they arrived this morning. They brought Lord Stanley back. They're on the second level. Last year, Kachuk ended up taking the trophy and swam with it in the ocean. So those guys have not slept yet, and they are going to be running on adult beverages and adrenaline all day.
100%. They're probably just getting started, a lot of them. And a lot of them, the party never started from
Yeah, and
the win.
the place is packed with fans, and you can go online right now and Google the Elbow Room there in Fort Lauderdale, not Fort Myers, and you can look at at least five of the different cameras. And throughout the day, last year they were pouring beer into the Stanley Cup, pouring it down on fans
No.
to drink.
No.
It was just a really
Can we
crazy
leave here and
atmosphere.
go there? Are you okay with that?
It's about a 2.5 hour drive.
We can make it.
All right, so skipping to the final story of the day.
And thank you guys for watching. Anyway, all right. So taking a look across Florida this morning, I want you to see this next story. So this, everyday beach day turned into a little bit of a panic for a parent in Martin County. Okay.
Okay.
So they're at the beach, and this guy's, he's chilling with his family at the beach, and he notices that after a while, his son, who's on a boogie board, he can't spot him anymore. The dad's on the shore. His son was out by the water. I cannot even imagine all the things he started to feel, right? So he calls, 911, and a search begins for this young boy.
Okay.
Okay. He's a teenager. And there happens to be someone out on the water. Yeah. Just visualize this for a second, okay? He's out on the water. This guy, well, this is the sheriff's department, but there's this guy, he owns a towboat company. He happens to see this kid floating on a boogie board. He happens to see him waving his arms, and he was able to rescue him along with the other agencies that you saw in the water and bring him in. Now, this story is important because unfortunately, especially during this time, we tell a lot of stories about people who go missing and then their bodies are not recovered, or they're unfortunately later recovered. So it was a
Right.
big, I can't imagine the sigh of relief that parent felt in Martin County. And even the agencies were saying, I think it was one of the firefighters was saying, we're calling this a miracle rescue because we actually found him, and he had drifted miles away from where he was last spotted.
That's what I was just looking at here. He was 2 miles away from where he was last seen by his dad, and he was a mile offshore.
Right.
Offshore
Right.
and a mile or 2 miles down.
Right.
That's
Think about,
terrifying.
and we talk about what the parent felt. Imagine what that child was feeling.
Right.
They said he was, he was out, so he was pretty much gone for like an hour and a half.
Okay.
And the rescuer said he was treading water, but after a while your body gets tired. So
Right.
he was amazed that he made it for that long, still on the boogie board.
Yeah,
So
thank God he held on to the boogie board.
100%.
It's just a good reminder. You always got to swim near lifeguard stands if they're around,
It's a good trend.
and always swim close. I took my little guy to Venice Beach this past weekend to go shark tooth hunting. Waves were pretty rough, and I was, trying to tell him he's 80 pounds, and I was trying to tell him the water's strong,
Yes.
right? And it kept pulling out, but it was pushing down. And I kid you not, I looked up at one point. I'm sifting for shark teeth, doing the dad thing, trying to find it.
Sure.
And I look up, and I was like,
You didn't see him.
he was 10
Stop.
feet down. One
Stop.
wave had taken,
Stop.
him down. He didn't have a boogie board, but he was like, dude, you got to stay close.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I can't imagine what that dad
Yeah.
or that kid
Yeah.
felt like. But thankfully, the captain saw it, and
Yeah.
our first responders came through once again.
Love that. So shout out to our first responders. And we just, again, wanted to share that story as a reminder. Just keeping an eye is just so important, especially, man, it happens so quickly,
Fast.
okay? Like blink of an eye, just like how you were saying with your son, So just a reminder as you're out, and we want you to enjoy the water. I was out by the causeway the other day. It is my favorite place in Southwest Florida.
How is it after the reconstruction? I haven't been since it's reopened.
I appreciate you asking. So I did notice that, and maybe you could explain this to me. So one of my favorite things about the causeway is I used to have that Sanibel sand there.
Mhm.
And I noticed that it was a little bit more rough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not that, and I'm imagining that's from all the
The
construction
yeah,
and
the
the-
original sand, got washed out by
right,
Ian.
right. I love how you said that like Shari does. You didn't know that.
No, and the sand they brought in were from the sand pits inland, and it's not as fine. It hasn't been ground down and
Copy.
rolled around as much. So maybe the sand will, soften up, if you will. But yeah, it's got a different texture to it, and the way they built the seawalls around there, I imagine it's got a different look and feel. Parking,
Well, yeah. So parking, I actually was prepared for the worst. I was like, we got to get there at a certain time. We got to get a parking spot. We actually pulled right in. We were able to
mhm.
pull the truck up right, as close as you can, hop out, pull everything right to where we were going to set up, and it was super easy.
Can you still park right on the sand on the
You
beach?
cannot. That's the
Okay,
difference, and that was why I love the causeway because we could
same. I
literally
love that vibe. Just
hop
find your
right there.
find your piece of sand, and
Yes, if you weren't careful, you could float away right into the water. But now, no, it's put back, and I think that's probably good to push the cars back a little bit.
yeah,
It does give you more walking room. But I did notice that about the sand, and I appreciate you saying it could soften up because I was like, man, this is one of my favorite things about the causeway.
yeah.
But still so beautiful. But what I wanted to say was by those rock formations, I did notice that the water I was like a little paranoid because I could
Okay.
feel like how strong you were talking about the waves.
Pulling
And
a little bit in the current.
yeah, I was a little nervous about that, but other than that, it's still so beautiful. Our causeway, and again, like shout out to all the people that worked on that project. It's just amazing that it's restored and there, and we're able to enjoy it. But those are the changes.
I'll have to make it out there. Fourth
Yeah.
of July, it'll be packed.
Definitely want to get there early.
Always, yeah.
Okay, definitely.
What you got next?
All right, we're talking about this smoking ban in Lee County. Have you been paying attention to the Off Script podcast?
Um,
Okay. Well, we got our answer there.
sometimes
you-
I'm working in the other studio. But we have talked about it on air.
I was gonna say you get a pass for
Yeah,
that.
we have talked about it on air.
And I know we actively talked about it
We
during
did.
our Hot Topics segment during
Correct.
Fox 4 Morning News.
Has there been an update?
There has been an update, and the ban is in place.
Oh, so it got approved.
That's exactly right. So when it comes to smoking and smoking and vaping at public beaches and parks, you are no longer able to do that in Lee County. Now, what that means is you can get fined for that, and then
Okay.
repeat offenders essentially would get you pay more the more you're found to like be a repeat offender.
Right.
So this is a big deal because it was controversial. You remember we talked about this. There's the one
100%.
side where people are like, I feel like I should be able to smoke wherever I want to smoke. And then there was the other side where people are like, I'm tired of picking up your vape pens or your cigarette butts.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway. I'm not a smoker, but
Mhm.
to each their own.
Right.
But if that's a big pet peeve, the cigarette butts and the trash, if you will. We talked about the Target parking lot over
Yes.
here on Pine Island.
Yes.
There's vape pens all over the parking lot.
Mhm.
But it's outside, and I feel my personal take on it, as long as you're having respect about where your smoke is going, downwind, if you will, and you're
Yeah.
being respectful, I feel like you should have a right.
Right.
But, obviously,
Well, obviously,
didn't pass.
a lot of people didn't agree with you.
Well,
So the
that-
county commissioner.
that happens a lot.
So we
Dude,
just
why are the producers laughing?
So we just wanted to make sure you had that update. Again, if you're, and this is interesting too. We talked about actually one of the people we interviewed mentioned like park rangers are already busy, right? So then their concern was putting another responsibility on them to enforce this.
Right.
Was like, man, they already have a ton of responsibilities.
And could that, yeah, it's like, do they use the fines to possibly increase staff or lifeguards where they're not at?
Sure.
And do you know how much
Where
the
does
fine?
that money go? Is it 100 guys? 100, 200, 300? Is that
I
the
thought it
increase?
was
Yeah.
100.
Yeah, it's like 100, 200, 300.
And I know the repeat offenders at.
Exactly. But I wonder where that money goes is a great question. That's the journalist in
Yep.
you. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. So anyway, all right, moving on to a really interesting story by Miyoshi Price. So you remember the Florida law that banned public speaking. I'm sorry, public sleeping.
Maybe we
Not
should ban you.
speaking, but
public
sometimes
speaking.
I feel like we should. Just kidding. Just kidding. I wouldn't have anything to do if they banned public speaking. Okay. Public sleeping, it went into effect this year. Obviously, that impacts people who are homeless and in that situation in our community and across the state. So Miyoshi did a really interesting story, and if you get a chance to go on fox4now.com, you can check it out there. She went to St. Matthew's House, because just weeks before that law went into effect, they opened up a women's shelter there.
Mhm.
And they have found that they serve 288 people so far already. Okay, so this is a testament to the demand that they're seeing when it comes to people who need a place to stay. I want to read these numbers off to you. The shelter currently has a long waiting list. 13 single women, 75 moms, and 83 kids. Now, I was listening to her story. She spoke to a woman who said her name is Jennifer Ford. She was homeless despite being employed. And that's important because I think a lot of the times when people hear about homelessness, they're like, well, you just need to get a job. Well, some
Right.
people have a job and they just
Can't
still can't keep
make
up.
it meet. Yeah.
Right. So Miyoshi was just spotlighting what is being done to help people in that situation. And of course, St. Matthew's House does so much in our community. So the other side of this is if you're looking for a way to get involved or to help, you can definitely reach out to St. Matthew's House. A lot of the times in shelter situations like this, they're looking for like pillows, blankets, stuff like that for the kids. So that is a great way to help out, especially this time. I feel like every year, this is the time where we're like getting rid of clothes, getting rid of old, sheets
Sure.
and stuff ahead of the new school year. So that could be something that you might want to look into. But the demand is so high. And again, this is here in Southwest Florida and Fort Myers.
The 83 kids is heartbreaking, right?
Yes.
That I can't believe the numbers on this waiting list. And with the ban on the sleeping out in
Yep.
public,
Yep.
where do the people go?
Right.
Especially this is one new shelter, and a lot of them were overwhelmed before.
Right.
So it kind of created other issues, but hopefully we can find more solutions.
Right. I don't remember if you were part of this meeting where we were talking about, the ban as it was under consideration when it went into effect. And a lot of our reporters, the question, and we've had reporters who like really have worked this story.
Yep.
Miyoshi, Ella, Bella, people have asked this question, which is where do people go,
Mhm.
right? If there's no county shelter, then where do people go? And that's what makes organizations like this
Sure.
really, the Salvation Army does this type of work. That's what makes organizations like this matter because there are very limited locations for people to go in the
Yeah.
community.
And we had this discussion several times when Centennial Park, when the homeless issue was going on there, and some of the older people that have been here throughout the years did those stories. So
Yes.
it's an ongoing.
Yes.
I don't want to say crisis, but it's definitely a big need in the counties here in Southwest Florida. And in this case, we're talking about, Lee County with Centennial Park, but
Mhm.
there's always that need, it seems like.
Yeah, and you reminded me too of those stories when we would spotlight them. Remember there was a time where we would do a lot of homeless
Mhm.
stories. We'd spotlight this issue a lot. We would talk about like invisible homelessness, where it is those people that would be at work every day, but
Right.
they were living in their car and changing at the gas station
Like
and
Jennifer.
stuff like that, like
Yep.
Jennifer, exactly. So very interesting story to check out. You can go to our website, fox4now.com, for more information. Also, they provide job support there as well too. I know a lot of people hit me up sometimes and ask about ways to get involved. That is one way. If you're able to provide resume reviews, job training as far as like, how do you interview and stuff like that, that could be a way to give back as well. Sometimes we think of giving back as just like cans and blankets, and that's important too, but there are other ways that you can support people in your community, and that is one of them.
Yeah. This next story, Shari, this makes me feel pretty good.
Oh, wait.
Because, around Fox 4, some of the youngins around here like to call me the old dad of the group.
Well, Allie says no one's called you that, but
I think it may have been Allie. Huh?
I would
Is
like
this
to
denial?
I would like to say I have heard it before. I've never said it before.
I did call you old this morning, but I definitely did not
Today.
call you the old dad.
Well,
You don't get to take that title.
Well, with Father's Day,
Aww.
that's what it was about, right?
Oh, that's what it was about. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
So
And
this guy makes me feel like a young dad. That's what I'm trying to get
because
at.
he's 135 years old.
Have you
He
ever?
actually he looks good.
He does. He moves a little slow. Have you ever been over to Zoo Miami to see him?
Can I just tell you something? I'm a big zoo and aquarium person, and I have not been to Zoo Miami. Womp womp. Heavy.
Okay, we're going.
Yeah,
We're
seriously.
going.
Is Zoo Miami amazing? Neha's
Yeah.
an aquarium person too. Like,
No.
do you like zoos? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about the zoo really quick. You got 15 seconds on
All
the
right.
video.
Well, first of all, Ron McGill over at the zoo does a fantastic job with that place.
Okay.
It's big. The Africa part in the back where all the elephants are at, you gotta hike. But they got monorails, and they've got an Amazon part that's inside where
Love.
they talk about like the Amazon River flooding. They do simulations.
Okay.
I think they've got snow leopards now. They got river otters.
Oh my gosh.
It is a day
Okay.
for sure.
Just question off of like the picture you were painting, Busch Gardens or Zoo Miami? Because I go to Busch Gardens and I barely get on the roller coasters. I am the
No,
person
go to
that's
Zoo
there
Miami.
for the animals.
Yeah, go to Zoo Miami.
Zoo Miami. Okay.
You have to go over.
Okay.
And when you do, let me know. I'll hook you up with some people.
I'm with it. Give me the hookup. So let us tell you about this guy, right? He's 135 years old. He's a first-time father. That is why we were talking about Father's Day and
Take
and
them a while
being
to
a
find
dad.
the right lady. Like what happened?
Sometimes it takes a while, Trent. He is the zoo's oldest resident there. And one egg of a clutch of 8 laid in January hatched June 4th. So basically, we want to say congratulations to this guy. His name is Goliath, obvi.
He is big. He is very, he's
actually
very big.
really flipping big. And so, yeah, we just wanted to say congratulations to him. But it's a really cool story. By the way, he is a Galapagos tortoise.
Yeah.
I am very fascinated with this type of stuff. I don't know if you know that about me.
No.
But like sea turtle, like nesting season and all those things, I'm like very much about this life.
Yeah.
So,
right.
although I don't, like they're the only ones that I do. I don't do frogs. Like, like reptiles and stuff.
Okay, different day, different conversation.
Okay, deal.
But no, congratulations. Happy Father's Day, Goliath.
Yeah. Goliath. All right. We talk a lot about AI. On Fox 4 Morning News, we have a segment called Let's Tech About It. You know I am obsessed with AI.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying.
What happens when you take Barbie, the classic Barbie, and combine it with AI technology?
You're asking me?
That was a genuine, I could see in your face.
Fear?
Fear, yeah.
Some kind of interactive virtual Barbie for the girls?
I kind of think this is kind of creepy. So Mattel is teaming up with OpenAI to create AI-powered toys and games. The first AI product could launch later this year, and Mattel will also use tools like ChatGPT in its operation. So they're talking about a Barbie. Think about how ChatGPT works. That's a little creepy to me. ChatGPT works OpenAI. Imagine playing with your Barbie. This is my cat that I bring every day, and they always get on this cat because it's missing its bow, but that's besides the point. Imagine something like this, a child being able to communicate with a Barbie, like using AI. Think about the conversations that you have with AI already, okay? It is already like having a conversation with a person. I am curious to know what you think about that.
Have these people not seen Chucky, the Haunted Teddy Ruxpins, or Megan?
Megan, that's what I was thinking
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I'm like right there with you. And you know I'm an AI proponent, but I am like, this is a little, and then you have kids in their rooms talking to this Barbie, talking to whatever. I'm not with it. I feel very strongly about this.
This is going to get weird real fast.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you have Snapchat, but you don't.
No.
Okay. Well, Neha and Ali, you guys have Snapchat, right? They came out with the AI bot is the point. And so like, if you were messaging, even if pretend like you were messaging an iMessage, it's like a person talking back to you in a message, right? And a lot of people, there was a thread that I was reading of how they were having intimate conversations with a Snapchat bot, which they're bots, AI bots on all different types of platforms. But I feel like this is that, a child being able to trust a doll and get answers. What happens if your child is mad at you one day and your child goes back to the Barbie?
Here's AI Barbie.
Yeah.
Your dad is mean.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you need a hug?
That's what I'm saying. And ChatGPT always agrees with you, right? It always agrees with you. It's always like
it takes on your personality and what you're
100%.
feeding it,
100%.
and what it's hearing.
I told someone the other day, I think my ChatGPT is a 30 fill in the blank black woman. Because I think that she I love that you just didn't respond to
Sounds like you guys would have a lot in common. Sounds like a good friend.
You're hilarious. Hush. I almost said shut up, but I don't want people to hear me. I really talk to you.
You need like a mute button. Right?
Yeah, you need a mute. You ain't coming back here again. No, but seriously, it does take on your personality. And I just feel like, I don't know, it feels a little creepy to me.
I think it was Good Morning America this week or this last week, or maybe on one of their weekend editions. There was a grown man who claimed he was in a relationship with his ChatGPT.
Stop.
And there was, right? And he was very serious because he had an emotional connection with it. And the same thing, the psychology behind it was telling him what he wanted to hear because it was sharing his thoughts and beliefs.
Wow.
And it was supporting him and making him feel good about himself. So he had all the emotional connection that you would in a solid relationship.
Right.
Yep. So it was.
That's creepy.
Yeah. So I think play dates with other kids instead of AI Barbie, but I don't know. I will.
It'll be interesting to
guess
see.
We're going to find out. Later this year.
100%. We'll find out later this year. It's obviously something we'll keep you posted on.
Christmas list are going to.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna tell you something. If that pops up on the list, it's a big X from me. No way. All right. Curious what you do in your spare time. cannot come back. I hope you enjoyed Trent's last day on the podcast.
Good seeing you guys today. My spare time. Definitely like to nap. Like watching sports.
Yes.
Pool, beach, just kind of relaxing. I'm getting to that, not the run and gun when I was younger, but just kind of I enjoy peace.
I like that. I like
right
that.
now.
I would put at the top of your list.
And eating. I know the camera kind of cuts off.
I was
love some good food.
You do love food, and you love spending time with your son too. I
And
feel like there's
family is definitely a big one.
definitely at the top of your list. I think what's interesting about spare time is there's this trend that seems to be in effect where when it comes to 20-somethings, which I know it takes you out of the category. It takes me out of the category too, no offense. It's all good.
Not if you double it and then some.
Then some. But there's this trend for them to do hobbies that are considered maybe for like an older generation. So hobbies like maybe scrapbooking, journaling, sewing. So we're seeing more of those type of activities for younger people, specifically people in their 20s. So they're essentially trending away from maybe some of the more like activities that you think maybe like going to the movies or being more social in that time in their life.
Right.
Curious about your thoughts about that.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I think some of those skills we're losing. And I'll give you a real life example. Somebody introduced my little guy, he's 8, to Roblox and
Yes.
a game in Roblox, I think it's called Grow Garden.
Okay.
And the whole point of the game, there were 3 kids all on their phones playing together, and they have a block of land, they spin this wheel, they get seeds, and then they have to virtually water them, and they grow, and they try to find the rare seeds. And I'm like, boys, you want to grow? I'll take you to Home Depot right
Let's go.
now. We'll plant some tomato plants, some
Let's go.
corn. So,
Y'all want to plant a real garden?
Like what? I didn't. Okay, so when I used to play Mario Brothers,
Yeah.
like you had levels, you climbed, you beat a final boss.
Yeah.
I wasn't. It's kind of like those sim games a little bit, but at least there's some strategy.
Sure.
This one is just let's grow some plants.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. They were happy. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, do you want to go outside and learn how to really do that?
100%.
So maybe that's kind of the connection with the embroidery and.
Well-
what else did you say? Scrapbooking.
86% of Gen Zers call themselves crafters.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys are Gen Zers. Do you craft? Neha's shaking her head. No. Allie crafts. You're a crafter. Can you talk a little bit about this transition from like being on your phone and doing all the things to like crafting?
It gives my mind a break and I'm
Oh.
not staring at a screen.
Yeah.
I like to junk journal. Some call it scrapbooking.
Junk journal. I've heard that one. That was new.
It's a little different from scrapbooking. It's a little bit messier. Just kind of find it fun. I'm not staring at a TV or my phone.
Sure.
I like to read.
Well, especially in this industry, because we're glued to like information all the time.
That's right.
Here at work and stuff.
And then we're also constantly listening to scanners and stuff like that. So I think what's cool about this is it's showing like embracing those type of activities as well,
Yeah.
almost like making it cool again.
Sure.
Which, by the way, if you're able to do this, if you're able to knit and do all these things, my mother that poor lady put me in 4-H, and I'm telling you, I can barely do a button. I think this is a skill, and it's also like Allie said, just such a way to like disconnect from the screen and stuff like that, which I do think we need more of. So it's interesting that like younger people are disconnecting in this way. I'm just curious, how does Neha disconnect?
That. Are we monitored by the FCC on this one? This will make it interesting.
Reality TV.
Okay.
Oh,
Reality TV. I do like reading.
Wait, so I'm just curious, which one? Like Love Island? Or-
Absolutely.
Oh, I
Love
nailed it.
Island.
See,
Are you guys watching Love Island?
I'm watching Sneaky Links.
Oh,
I.
that's crazy. That's actually crazy.
What was it called?
You heard her.
Wait, Neha just judged me for that. Made me totally regret
I saw-
telling you
I
guys.
saw the side eye. What was the show called?
Sneaky Links, Trent, if you know what that means.
Do you know what that means?
Sneaky
Okay.
Link.
All right.
Like when you're like hiding a
Anyways.
relationship from somebody. Or
Okay,
something?
no.
Well, so yeah, Love Island
Love
and like
Island.
I like watching like cooking shows. See, I'm still glued to the screen. That's the problem.
Uh-huh.
My brother's into knitting and he's younger than me.
Love.
And there's some like really cool little knitting kits out there that are like really easy for beginners. So he's into that.
Love that.
So.
Love that a lot.
Sneaky Links.
Okay.
Where do I find this show?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's actually very interesting. if you're in, I'm not like Neha. I'm not cool enough to really be into like the, like reality TV scene too much. We just like accidentally came across it, and
Okay.
I'm almost done with it. Like I was just
Okay. No-
reeled in.
No
But-
judgment.
But I do try to, like, lately I've been swimming in the pool. Like I've been doing laps because I'm like programmed to be like, I need to put on some Destiny's Child and like do some laps. Now I'm like, are you laughing because Destiny's Child's like
I
old
love it.
school now? Okay.
No, I love it.
But I like just the quiet. I like hearing when I come up from the water. I like hearing the birds, and I like hearing, like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
No devices.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for me.
When I ran more, I would do the same thing. No headphones.
No
Anything. I
yes.
just wanted to hear. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get
So, I love that Gen Z is encouraging that. Well, most of Gen Z and not Neha. So there's that. All right. We love talking about, first of all, we love talking about food here at Fox 4 in general, especially on the podcast, and on Fox 4 Morning News. I feel like we talk about food.
We talk
all
about
the
food
time.
all the time. We all use food places as landmarks. It's not like, down Pine Island by Del Prado. Oh, no, when you get to the Five Guys, it's across the street. Every one of us
No,
here,
That
it's
is so
food destination.
sadly true. And then we're like, man, I can't figure out how to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah,
Okay.
why doesn't my soup fit today?
Exactly. So we want to let you know that there's a new cookie place that just opened in the Cape on Del Prado called the Cookie Plug. And I feel like we do need to just ask Neha one more time because she like just ran to the mic when I mentioned her name. She is passionate about the Cookie Plug. I feel like she goes there. Are you there like once a week, Neha? Because this one just opened up in Cape Coral, Trent, but there is already one in Fort Myers. Have you been to the Fort Myers one?
I'll be honest, until it opened in the Cape and I saw the Facebook marketing, I had never heard of Cookie Plug.
Okay. Okay.
I've heard of Crumble,
Right.
but not Cookie Plug.
Okay.
So what
Yeah,
makes
I
it
go to the
special?
one in Fort Myers and it's fire. I'm so happy the Cape people can get it now too.
What
Yeah.
makes Cookie Plug's cookies? I see they're gigantic. And
They
would,
are-
like
they're-
speak to my soul.
They're like thicker.
Yeah.
Clearly, you can see they're like a little thicker.
Okay.
And I think what makes it is like the vibes. Like you go in, there's like graffiti art, there's like cool music playing.
So you're there for the atmosphere.
The atmosphere, yeah, just makes you feel like you're not, killing your calories. It looks like you're like bringing some swag, leaving with swag.
I love it.
I
love it.
feel like Neha's
I
gonna.
mean, look at the box. There's like what, $100 bills on there?
So it's kind of like a hip hop vibe. Like this is like a
Yeah,
like an urban
like
type
an
vibe?
urban
Love
vibe.
it.
And
Do they pair well with bacon grilled cheese?
hey, that's our director Jay. He went there recently, and he wanted to show off that he's happy that the Cookie Plug is in the Cape.
I love it.
They-
I love it.
I think it's awesome that you go there for the vibe. Like we need club cookie.
Dude, that's like what it
You
is.
need to like open.
So
your
they're
own
playing
place.
music and everything like
yeah,
that.
it's like vibey.
I love
And
that.
they have fun names for their cookies.
Right. I was reading here. They got the s'mores firecracker, the purple velvet cookie purple haze,
Mm-hmm. Fire, by the way.
and the chocolate chip.
And I like the OG. That's the OG.
the chocolate chip. I
Mhm.
love the
They
names.
got like similar like to the crumble. They got one cookie though. A
okay.
new one that's like for them every week. So
Okay.
If you had to pick one,
Yeah.
the OG.
Let's
OG.
go. The OG chocolate chip.
their
with
deal when they opened was like buy 4 get 8 free.
that. Stop.
So they were trying to pull
People in.
people in. So
People.
all right, I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
Definitely. We love shouting out a new business in the area. So congratulations to the Cookie Plug expanding in the Cape. Definitely check it out. And then the one in Fort Myers, I think, is near Bell Tower, correct?
I believe
It's in
so.
that one of those plazas over there.
Yeah.
So.
See, food destinations as landmarks.
Oh, that's so sad because they got good restaurants in Bell
They
Tower.
do.
It's true. All right. Last thing we want to mention is tomorrow already is Juneteenth. And this is a big day in American history, specifically in the Black community. The Union troops freed African Americans in Galveston Bay and across Texas 2.5 years after President Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So, Juneteenth is profound, and as I've gotten older, there have been more and more celebrations of it. Imagine, like, not knowing that you're free for 2 years, right? So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And there are celebrations across the country. It is a holiday.
It's a federal holiday,
It is
right?
a federal holiday.
So banks,
Exactly.
post offices, everything's going to be closed on
Right,
Thursday.
right. And there are celebrations here in Southwest Florida. I wanted to mention that because do you know Miyoshi Price?
I do know Miyoshi.
Pretty cool girl.
Not bad.
Not bad. She's going to be I should say she's going to be hosting a panel on Juneteenth.
Yeah.
There's going to be a documentary that highlights the intersection of faith and race and community and all these other things. It's unpacking at the Alliance for the Arts, and that's going to be taking place tomorrow. I feel like I put the time on here, guys, but I cannot remember. Sorry, I didn't. But if you just Google Miyoshi and like Alliance for the Arts, you'll find it.
See, Miyoshi's from California, so she's going to bring the California cool to the panel.
She brings the
and-
California cool everywhere she
and
goes.
the energy. So
That's right.
she's going to have a lot to say.
You're exactly right. And so afterwards, they're going to have that discussion, just unpacking that. So
Yeah.
she's like wanting people to come out, support the Alliance. If you haven't been to the Alliance for the Arts, cool place to be. So definitely check that out. There's a huge Juneteenth celebration going on Saturday.
Okay.
Totally open to the communities at the Stars Complex. And they have, I was talking to the organizer yesterday. I mean, they have all these performances, all these food trucks. They've got swag bags, all these sponsors. It is probably one of the biggest Juneteenth celebrations that I have seen in Southwest Florida. So I'm super excited to be a part of that. I'm going to be emceeing part of it, and then Miyoshi's going to be doing the other half of it on Saturday. So definitely check that out as well. And it's in the evening, so it's like 5. Doors open at 4. The program starts at 5, and it goes to 9 o'clock
At Stars.
at the Stars. And they're going to have a fireworks show as well.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be very, very cool. So definitely check that out. And then National Seashell Day. I lied. There's one more thing we wanted to talk about.
I like it. I was wondering if you were just like shutting things down.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. No. This Shell and Swap event is being held, Swap event, by the Sanibel Recreation Center on Friday. So we're already talking about the weekend because it's Wednesday and you need plans. It's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you have shells, do you collect shells?
I do.
Yes,
I'm,
me
I'm,
too.
I'm the dork that goes out to Sanibel, and I
Yes.
do the Sanibel stoop and all day.
My
trying to
guy.
find the cool ones, the rare ones.
Me
and-
too.
yeah.
I'm with it. Have you ever been like shelling with some of the girls out on Sanibel? Like some of the ladies, they go out almost every day. You just run into them.
Ladies that like seashelling? Say more.
I will say, the producers are saying,
No.
wrap it up.
No.
Okay. So they go out and shell almost every day. Some of them go out once a week. They're like
Yeah.
all these different groups. And they just go out in the morning looking just exactly what these people are doing, what we love. But
Sure.
it's such a community here in Southwest Florida.
It's just amazing. I feel like every time it's like a treasure hunt. You just never
Yes,
know what you're
yes.
going to see, what you're going to find. And by sea, I mean manatees, dolphin,
Exactly.
rays.
Exactly.
It's never just about the shells. And
Yep.
it is always about the sunscreen, though, when you're
That's right.
looking for those
That's right.
shells.
So definitely check that out. That's a preview for the weekend. We appreciate you joining us today on the Off Script podcast, which takes place Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays right here, wherever you're watching, whether it's streaming, Facebook, YouTube. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you tomorrow.
Why do they have their hands on the end button so fast? Like they're trying to turn my microphone down already.
They know. Y'all could end it. They know. Bye, guys.
Hi, guys. Bye, ladies. Thank you.